Hi guys, remember George Eustice, former UKIPer and former Secretary of State for DEFRA? Well, for some reason he appeared on LBC to defend the imposition of checks on the border post-Brexit. The Brexiteer government had cancelled such checks 5 times since the UK left the European Union, and while Britain's neighbours put them up from day one, a number of excuses were given for delays on the UK side. Now that they can't delay anymore, Tory MPs and Brexiteers are trying to sell the idea that the checks are a great thing. Have a listen to this.
There was always going to be border checks, and it was always understood there would be non-tariff barriers. But you have to understand why we're doing that. There's a risk to this country of diseases like Xylella in plants, which would be devastating for our trees, African swine fever that we don't have here, which is very prevalent in the EU, diseases like foot and mouth disease. The reason we have these border checks is to prevent those diseases coming in. And it's right that we have those. And the key thing to note here is that the new system that we've introduced, that I was involved designing and some of the people in the Animal and Plant Health Agency helped put together, is vastly superior to the official control regime that the EU had. Much more risk-based testing, no more than probably 1% for low-risk products. No need for certificates at all on low-risk animal products.
Okay, I'm deeply confused. So he said here that we need to carry out these checks because there are risks to plants and animals, diseases coming in through the imports. So if you're carrying out the checks now in reaction to these diseases, what has changed in the EU? Has there been a massive spike in the diseases that he's described? Because I haven't seen anything about a massive spike. He's saying, we're carrying out these checks because we need to protect British farming, we need to protect plants and animals in Britain. That makes sense. But why didn't you do it before? Why are you only doing it now? You've cancelled these checks 5 times. But now for some reason, you're saying, yeah, we need to carry out these checks. Now he doesn't explain why he cancelled it or his government cancelled it 5 times and are now doing it. Then he talked about the system. Okay, but the system is only as good as the people who work the system, who implement the system. And we know that there's a shortage of workers. There's a shortage of border staff. And some border posts are facing demolition because the councils built these border posts, and it seems that they're not going to be needed because the government has decided we're actually not going to carry out as many checks as we originally thought. Now he's saying we don't have to carry out the checks because we have a better system. But remember, when the UK was a member of the European Union, it didn't actually have to carry out all the checks because those checks were spread all over the European Union, along the borders. But now that the UK is a third country, it has to carry out all the checks for all of the goods coming in, not just from the EU, but from the rest of the world too. This is a massive amount of checks that need to be carried out. Remember, goods coming through Europe are not always from Europe. Goods coming from Europe will have to be checked. Goods passing through Europe will have to be checked also. And if you're not carrying them out, if you're not carrying out these checks, you're exposing farming, animals and agriculture to massive risk. Now he's saying we have a better system than the EU one. Maybe you do, but do you have enough staff to carry out these checks? It seems to be not the case. So here we have, once again, a Brexiteer trying to sell the idea that, yeah, it's okay, we don't need to carry out the checks on Monday, but on Tuesday we're going to carry out the checks because it's necessary to protect our borders, to protect agriculture, to protect plants and animals in the UK or in Great Britain. None of this makes any sense, but then Brexit doesn't make a lot of sense either. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.